On this episode of Conversations with the Community, we had some issues with internet loss. My guest kept getting cut out, so you'll notice some strange edits, and you might even notice it kind of interferes with the conversation flow just a little bit because we would have to stop and reset and resume. So just so you guys are aware, there's this great moment, I don't know, it's like halfway in or so, where he actually drops and I don't realize that I'm just talking and talking and talking. It was a really good old man moment for me. Overall, it was a great experience. I enjoyed the conversation, but just so you guys are aware, some editing, some choppiness here and there to the conversation just because of those internet drops. Anyway, enjoy. It will be episode 9. Wow. Okay, kicking us off then. Episode 9 of Conversations with the Community. I have, let's see if I can do it. Nejc, is that?
I'll give it a pass. I'll give it a pass.
You pronounce it one more time.
Yeah, Nejc.
See, all I hear is just the S, this S sound, but
yeah,
there's a little subtlety to it, huh?
Anyways, yeah, I'm Nejc figure, so yeah, that's my whole name.
From Slovenia, out in Slovenia.
From Slovenia, 25 years old, huge Kid Cudi fan. That's why I'm on here today. Working currently, still studying media communications. Former YouTuber. Also, when I was younger, of course, did Minecraft and stuff like that.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Minecraft, man, that is such a staple, especially when you start to pair it with YouTube. It's like, it's so funny with you. I feel like YouTube has gotten worse because their algorithm has gotten so weird in that when you watch one video of something, then they just fill your feed with all of that all of a sudden. There's no variety anymore, it seems like. And so every now and then my son will want me to look at something, it's related to Minecraft, and I'm like, well, let's do it on your computer. Because if I do it on mine, all of a sudden my YouTube just turns into this Minecraft feed, and I don't want all this Minecraft stuff on my thing.
Yeah, definitely agree. It's like the same for me, but for music, I don't want anyone to ruin my Spotify Discover Weekly or stuff like that.
Exactly. Yes, that's another great point. Like, don't touch my profile. That's great. Right. Well, kick us off into Kid Cudi. I mean, that was the thing. You had reached out to me. You specifically wanted to talk about, well, I guess not necessarily specifically, but you really wanted to talk about Man on the Moon 1. I did listen to Man on the Moon 2 as well, so you'll feel free to incorporate that if you like. But then also with Kid Cudi and how Kid Cudi just really, I guess, touched you personally. So kick us off here. Just get us rolling here on Kid Cudi, Man on the Moon, whatever you want to say there.
Yeah, of course. So I definitely wanted to talk about Kid Cudi because he's an artist that I actually stumbled upon firstly when I was really young, listening to MTV here in Slovenia. We just got a lot of commercial music. Before that, my brother was listening to Eminem, 50 Cent, stuff like that.
Sure.
And then one day I heard Day and Night, and I just thought it was the catchiest thing ever. Like, amazing song.
Yeah.
I had it on repeat. My brother was, every time it was on MTV, he was like, oh, it's your song again, and that's pretty much how I first got introduced to him. But of course, since I was younger, I didn't really know the lyrics. Just English was really hard and stuff like that. And well, it was just a catchy song. I didn't really delve into the lyrics,
Yeah,
So
specifically with Day and Night, right?
Yeah. Okay, specifically with Day and Night. And then I kind of forgot about him. And I have to admit that 5 years, like 5 or 4 years ago, I got back into the newer hip hop and stuff like that, and to Kid Cudi, of course. And Man on the Moon was my first listen, of course. And I fell in love back into the whole hip hop scene that is the new generation and everything. Also, he started to drop. I think December 2020 was the third one.
Oh yeah, that was recent. Yeah.
Yeah, which you definitely have to have a listen because it's, in my opinion, also amazing. But yeah, like that's how I got back into him. I listened to a whole song. Whole album. Got my favorites, and it was pretty much just on repeat. And yeah, it got me through some of the tougher times during COVID again, because
Oh,
every time
sure.
I was
Yeah.
feeling down and stuff like that, it was like my hype music, you know. Uh, I also got into lyrics and I really love them. Yeah, like everyone has that one song, at least one song from this album that he can like connect with.
Oh,
At
yeah.
least that's what I think. And yeah, that's pretty much it, how I got back into Kid Cudi in his first album, you know.
It is a really easy album to put onto repeat and listen again and again and again because it's got that sound. You know, that sound is so easy to listen to, and then how the tracks do a decent job of flowing into each other. I feel like it kind of keeps a theme which lets it just roll, you know, rather than some albums. It seems like I don't know, like in a sense, it's almost nice that Man on the Moon 1 is somewhat of an incomplete story since Man on the Moon 2 continues where the first one left off. I think of other albums like maybe Good Kid, Mad City, or To Pimp a Butterfly or something. The things that have very prominent stories within them. Sometimes they're a little bit harder to repeat because the story is so complete that you go, okay, well, I had that experience and now I can listen to something else. Whereas Man on the Moon, the experience being told in that album feels incomplete in a way. And so you can kind of keep circling back and re-experiencing and keep going. I don't know if that makes any sense, but that was the experience I had with it when I was listening to it.
Yeah, definitely. Like the first time you don't hear everything, and every single time you repeat the album, there's a new piece of lyric that you discover because, like, it depends if you're actively listening to it and stuff like that. But I think that every single time, if you're not on Genius reading the lyrics,
Yeah.
you're just experiencing something new, you know?
Yeah.
Like because I really liked before I also really like Pink Floyd or stuff like that, and a lot of people actually compare Kid Cudi to the hip hop Pink Floyd, like they say like he's something like that. I wouldn't necessarily say he's like that or like Nirvana, like Kurt Cobain. But I still think there are some correlations and like that some of the styles are incorporated to that. So I did maybe like it more because of that. But yeah. Uh,
I
Also, there's this stuff I wanted to mention and ask you as well, because a lot of people listen to this album when they're like in their primary school or and stuff like that, or maybe just going into high school
yeah.
and they like really feel the album. But I have to say that even when I was in college, I really could feel the lyrics and could still connect with them. Like, what was like your uh, experience with that?
You know, I'm glad you asked that because I have recently learned, fairly recently, like within the last month or so, that my experience with music, it used to be that way. It used to be I would kind of lean on music as a form of support, you know, to deal with certain issues or feelings or whatever. And I'm starting to realize, without ever knowing this has been the case for a little while now, that because I'm pretty well settled out in who I am and you know my life is going well, generally speaking, and I don't I'm okay, you know. And so in that sense of being okay, I have found that I'm somewhat emotionally detached from music a little bit. I can still feel it. I can still get emotional, but it doesn't seem to weave into my personal life as much as it used to. It doesn't seem to answer as many questions, I guess, as it used to. Sometimes music was really helpful with answering questions that kind of existed in my brain without having a physical, you know, clear form of what the question actually was. It was just, I've got this feeling, and this song is somehow answering to this feeling and helping me understand this feeling. But even with all that said, you know, when I listen to Man on the Moon, I can feel myself go back. You know, that second track, when it drops into soundtrack to my life, I go, oh yeah. Oh yeah. Like I can almost feel myself teleport back in time and see myself at 20 and in the military and miserable and confused and lonely and just hearing that song from that perspective and going, yeah, like if I would have had that song back then, that would have been so huge, and I would have listened to it constantly, constantly. I
Yeah,
think
definitely.
I think Solo Dolo is still probably my favorite one off there, but there was so many that were growing on me. Like Alive was growing on me big time. Intergalactic was growing on me big time. Cudi Zone was one of my favorites too. Even Pursuit of Happiness, which was surprising to me because Pursuit of Happiness is really technically a sad song, but it's got that weird kind of upbeat sound going to it.
Yeah, yeah. Like Pursuit of Happiness over here, at least in Slovenia, like the remix version has been played to the ground in clubs, and I just can't hear it. I like the original one, I absolutely adore, but I have to say like the remix did ruin it a little bit for me.
Yeah.
Still, I respect the song like so much, even if like I'm comparing the other one, the other singles. Of course, Day and Night I have a connection with, and then Make Her Say I also have a connection with. Like it's my favorite song on on the album, which is funny because it's like so singled out, like it's not even connected with the whole story part. But I just love it so much. I don't know, like so yeah.
I had the same experience. When I first heard it, I was like, this is odd. Like it felt out of place. And because it was so surprising, it kind of threw me off. And I don't think I really enjoyed it necessarily the very first time. But then as I did additional playthroughs and I listened to it more, I was like, I love this song, man. There's just
Yeah.
something about the way Lady Gaga's part is playing. And then, there's, because there's a couple features too. Yeah, Kanye's on there, Common is on there.
Yeah,
And it's great. It's just a great song. And it's so easy to get into.
yeah, it's definitely so Make Her Say and Intergalactic are my favorite. Like the Intergalactic is because I don't know why, but like they're just my hype songs. Whenever I wanted to get hype or just be in a good mood, boom, just slap that in and I get in my Cudi zone, pun intended.
Yeah, yeah.
So yeah, like that's pretty much it. Also, I have to mention because whenever I played beer pong, I had
Well, you dropped off, right? You just started telling your beer pong story. So continue with your beer
oh,
pong story.
okay, sorry. Yeah, anyways, yeah, my beer pong, like there was this thing with my beer pong partner where Make Her Say was our both hype song,
Nice.
and we just had to go to that song every single time we needed a win, and every time we came out with a win, and it was just amazing.
Oh, that's
So
great.
so I even have a little memorabilia which both of us have. I have to show this. Oh shit, I didn't have paper. So it's like a beer pong ball, and it says, I don't know if
Nice.
it's turned around or anything, but yeah. Uh, and sorry if that was a little quick
No,
because
that's
I
fine.
don't really want to discuss that in too much detail, but yeah, the font on it is Man on the Moon. It says Make Her Say, and me and the person playing beer pong is on the picture carved out. So yeah,
That's awesome. That's awesome. That's
yeah.
really cool. Yeah, that's something fun to have. Now, what about Day and Night? You had mentioned that was really the first one that you had heard. What was it about Day and Night that pulled you in?
Okay, yeah, so Day and Night, like I said, definitely the first thing I caught that caught my ear, I have to say, was definitely the catchiness of the song. I
Now,
just don't
and
know
I'm
what
sorry
put the
to
hook.
interrupt you. I apologize.
Yeah.
Was Day and Night the first like hip hop song you'd ever heard?
Oh no, no. Like I
Oh, okay.
said, the first hip hop songs I heard were through my brother, which were Eminem, 50 Cent,
Oh, that's right. That's
stuff.
right. I
Yeah,
apologize.
stuff like that. Of course, through the years, I started to listen to Wu-Tang, and then like Tupac, Notorious B.I.G., Eazy, N.W.A., and then later on, now I started to listen to Tyler,
Oh, okay.
Cudi, and all of the new artists like JPEG Mafia, stuff like that. But yeah, like Day and Night was pretty much my first favorite track, I have to say though, yeah, from hip hop, like.
And see, that's cool because you kind of came from not necessarily the origins, but from the '90s stuff that was kind of heavier. And so when you go from that into Day and Night, that is a huge change, huge change. So comparing, well, not necessarily, I guess, that one track, but Man on the Moon 1, I mean, do you, when you think of Man on the Moon 1 compared to some of the stuff that you're listening to before with NWA and Eminem, I mean, do you feel like you enjoy that a lot more than the other stuff?
Yeah, I definitely have to say I enjoy it more now. Uh, I don't know why. I guess my character development has evolved as a main character.
Sure.
Like, just joking. Like, I don't know. I think I've musically evolved out of it because, in high school I was pretty much listening to that stuff, and whatever you listen to, whatever you listen to in high school, I think you just grow out of it mostly. And then that's what happens, at least to me. I still do have a playlist and I go back to it from time to time. I still think it's amazing. I still think that Wu-Tang is probably the best rap group to ever hit hip hop, in my opinion. But Kid Cudi is definitely still my favorite artist and my go-to artist in like recommendations and just listening to him when I'm in a bad mood, when I'm in a good mood. Like he can do it all.
Yeah, and I think that right there is a huge point because I agree with what you're saying in the high school bit. It is interesting how I think about some of the music I used to listen to, and some of it I still listen to now, but I would say the majority of it, especially anything that's a little bit more aggressive, maybe I don't listen to it as often. And I think you're right in that people grow and evolve as they get older, as you should. And it's interesting how as you do that as a person, certain music falls off and then other music comes in. And specifically like what you're saying, how Man on the Moon or Kid Cudi can do it all. I think of, I don't know a lot about NWA or some of those other artists from the 90s just because I haven't listened to them yet. But I think about some of the metal I used to listen to back in the 90s, and yeah, that range wasn't there. Like you could only listen to that, and that was the only type of energy that they could put out. Whereas Man on the Moon, there's up tracks, there's down tracks, there's happy, there's sad. Like there is a much wider range, and so it is easier to put that on and get whatever you need from the music, rather than if you listen to stuff that you used to listen to in high school. It's like, well, this is all just aggressive. Like I don't really feel like being aggressive right now. Like I want to just chill for a while, but you can't really do that. So it is interesting. And to me, I think the artist, what I love is when you see an artist go through that evolution. Tyler did that really well, I think, where he started with this, what is it, like horror rap or whatever you call it. And then he has slowly grown and evolved. And now Call Me With You Get Lost it's got everything. It's just the whole range, I think.
Yeah, I definitely would agree with that because when you listen to Tyler and you put him on shuffle, I don't think it works.
Yeah.
Like because
Right.
you just have to listen to one thing, one album, depending on your mood, and like at least that's how I do it. Like if I'm in the mood for Igor or for Flower Boy or even Wolf or stuff like that. But yeah, as in compared to Kid Cudi, I mean he does have a range of different albums and different music, but I can still go through a shuffled scene with him because yeah, I mean, I don't know. He has his ups, downs, but like I love all of his music and I can just listen to it at any time. Like I don't know.
So where do you land on the range with what is it, Wizard and Speeding Bullet to Heaven? These are albums I've not heard yet, but I've heard very interesting opinions about them. Like apparently it was either Wizard or Speeding Bullet to Heaven they were not received very well. I mean, how much did you enjoy those?
So Speeding Bullet to Heaven, like even after listening, like even after seeing the documentary, A Man Named Scott, I was like, oh damn, I have to re-listen to that album. That was my first thought, and I did that, and I enjoyed it more, I guess. I don't know. Like
More from
it
a
sound
not enjoying it or more from kind of
uh
enjoyed it or
not I guess I have to say that I felt his pain more
oh,
because
okay.
I knew where he was coming from. But a couple of songs, I think Confused, I still think is amazing. I think it's a top tier song. But yeah, overall, the album, I don't really like it that much. I think Travis Scott said that it's his favorite album, or ASAP Rocky. I'm
Oh,
not
okay.
sure. One of those artists said that it was his favorite album, and because he was going through the toughest times, and it's really interesting to see how an artist like he does his best work when he's going through the toughest times. Like they say that for a lot of artists, but I don't think that's the case here. And then other albums, Indicud, I think was cool. Passion, uh, I don't know the whole title, Passion Fire, Demon Slain, or something like that. I think is really good, underrated. So
Interesting. Interesting. Yeah, with Kid Cudi, that was something I learned from watching the documentary with a man named Scott, and there was that part about Shia LaBeouf saying how Kid Cudi just mines from his own heart and takes out all of the things that make him up and just throws it onto the record, basically. And
yeah,
I think that's great to an extent. But when you take somebody who's willing to do that and then you have them go through these really extreme scenarios where their life is falling apart, as a listener, it becomes very difficult to both enjoy that kind of content and connect with it as it becomes more extreme.
yeah, I think that's the case on Man on the Moon too, with his song that's titled "Don't Listen to the Song" or something like
Yeah.
that,
Yeah.
which is I think an amazing song. And it doesn't even have a lot of plays on Spotify at least, but I thought it was still an amazing song, like really emotional and one of the best on the album.
That
Uh,
one was interesting to me because it starts to cross a line between, hey, this is just a song versus a literal cry for help,
yeah,
and
yeah, yeah.
how are you supposed to handle that? Like as a listener, obviously we can't do anything, but I can't imagine what it was like in the studio with him recording the track, listening to him say these words and just going, well, I guess it's a song. Like that's an interesting. I've never really heard anything so raw and open like that.
Yeah,
I don't know.
definitely.
I don't know how you handle that one. It's a trip. It's a trip. You had mentioned earlier something about how you and a friend are having a discussion on entry into hip hop and which is the best avenue, and you said Man on the Moon one. Tear into that a little bit, like why you feel that's a great gateway for people getting into hip hop.
Yeah, me and my friend had a discussion regarding like what is the best introductory hip hop album that you would give to a person for his first listen if he wasn't listening to like if he listens to other genres and stuff like that. And I would say it's Man on the Moon. Like even I've heard a lot of albums and I just think this one is the most uh I guess non-hip hop because of
Yeah,
all of these different elements, but still combining the hip hop elements and just making it work all together. And that's why I think it's the easiest one to give to someone and be like, hey, you should start listening to this genre, of course, and just start exploring it. Because if you give them something heavy at first, like, I don't know, like Blonde or I don't know, even something like heavier, a whole lot of red,
oh
it's just not gonna work. Like,
yeah.
or JPEG Mafia, some stuff like that, it's just not gonna work. He's gonna be look at you crazy and be like, I'm never listening to this genre again.
Yeah.
Uh, and I think Man the Moon has all of the elements in like in storytelling, great sounds, great hooks, great features. Like you can just buy a person from those arguments alone, and yeah, just go from there.
That is a good point, especially with the features too, because the features aren't too heavy-handed. I've seen some albums that I haven't listened to, but every now and then I'll look at stuff and it's like almost every track has a feature with multiple artists, and it's like, who am I even listening to at this point, But with Man on the Moon, yeah, there's a couple features. They're really well done. The music is fantastic. I think too with Cudi, he doesn't necessarily have a intense rap style. There's some singing in there. His flow is a little less intense, so you can hear what he's saying. I mean, he has a certain section where he goes off, but anybody like my son, and I went through this too, was we can enjoy the music, but if you're not used to rap, that style of lyrical delivery, some people that they just have a hard time. It hits their ear in a certain way and they're not comfortable with it. And so they can enjoy the music, but they can't enjoy the lyrics. Or for people like me, I really struggle with understanding what they're saying and I want to hear what they're saying. But because of how they're doing it, I put so much focus on what they're saying to try and understand it. I don't hear the music and then the whole thing kind of falls apart. I'm surprised you said Blonde would be too heavy because that was one of the albums I was thinking about is Blonde, in the sense that there isn't a lot of intense vocal action going on. There's some guitar work in there that maybe people can, connect with. The beats are good, but they're not crazy. Not like Whole Lotta Red, like you were saying, I wonder if Blonde, it would be interesting. It would be neat to see someone who's never heard rap at all listen to Blonde and just see what their reaction was. Because I also think, you've got a point. Like Blonde is a pretty heavy album. If you are sitting there listening to it and reading the lyrics and paying attention to what's going on, like, yeah, this guy is going through hell trying to get through this relationship struggle he has. So I don't know, man. That would be an interesting thing.
Yeah, like I guess I'm going from my personal experience because first time I was listening to Blonde, I was like, I mean, it's good. I appreciate it. I respect it, but I don't necessarily like it that much. And then after a few re-listens, I was like, this is fire.
Yeah.
Like I can't stop listening to this. Like I don't know when it clicked for me. But after like one active, like really active listen, I was like, oh, hooked, like into it at all. But yeah, like that's why I think it wouldn't be a great introductory album, because even though it's 10 out of 10 album, I think it's still heavy and has some heavy elements.
Yeah.
And auto-tune and stuff like that maybe wouldn't necessarily connect to some people. Yeah, like that's my opinion on it.
Yeah.
But I don't know. Like, which one would you say is the best introductory album? Like, if you from the ones that you've heard, of course, because you still have a lot to explore. But
I mean, I probably, I don't know. I initially want to lean toward Blonde, but I think I'm biased because I do enjoy it so much. And I think really too, my experience with that was I was listening to it with my wife and she liked it. And she's not really into hip hop yet. So for her to click with it pretty fast was interesting. And the other thing that was also interesting is she didn't really get into Kid Cudi when I was doing Man on the Moon. And I was, I was surprised by that. I think part of it was she watched the documentary with me and she had heard a couple songs, but not really a lot. And in the documentary, there's some parts where they're showing him at Coachella and stuff like that. And honestly, Kid Cudi, in terms of singing, he's not that great of a singer. So, I mean, he's okay. He's fine. But he's certainly not the best singer I've heard, especially in a live setting, especially something like Coachella where people are sharing the stage and it's not an optimized audio setup and stuff. And so I noticed that really turned her off on him because his singing just wasn't that phenomenal. But then as I took her back through the actual album of Man on the Moon 1 and played her, what was it? Well, I don't remember exactly. Oh, Cudi Zone, I think she got into. Intergalactic, she enjoyed. There was a couple tracks I was like, oh, okay. She started to get it then. But when she just first heard him singing live, she was like, no, not into it.
yeah, I would agree with that. Yeah, on a live setting, like from the videos I watched and from the performances on the night shows, he's better in the studio. Yeah, but he's still fine, I would say.
He's good. I wonder too how much, because that documentary is pretty intense. So I wonder if the intensity of the documentary and what he was talking about and the shit that he was going through also kind of made her shy away a little bit from it. It does make it, it's an interesting scenario of when you listen to music, typically we hear the music first, and as you grow to learn an artist's work, then you go and check out their personal lives a little bit more and you watch a documentary or whatever. But I've never really had the experience where I go the other way, where I watch a documentary first or learn about the artist first and then do the music. And I wonder how that influences a person's ability to enjoy the music. I wonder if I almost feel like they start from a biased position, either one way or the other, depending on how they feel about what they've learned, and that if that ripples into the music as they go forward.
Yeah, it's probably depends on the individual. I do have to say from my side, I did watch a lot of the documentaries like Amy from Amy Winehouse and
Oh
like
yeah.
Walk the Line and for Johnny Cash and then Queen like Bohemian. I mean
Oh yeah,
like
yeah,
The Freddie Mercury one, which
yeah.
wasn't good at all, but I
I
knew the story before that.
I haven't seen it
Uh,
yet, but I want to watch it.
it's not good because it's not based on real events.
Yeah, that's kind of
Uh,
what I heard.
But like the Walk the Line and Amy, like I didn't listen to them before that much, and then after the documentary, I started to listen to them more and more, and so I guess I do appreciate artists more after seeing their story. It does depend on who though, because I think I watched Judy Garland. Uh,
Oh,
docu
I'm not too familiar with her.
Yeah, that one didn't motivate me too much, but like the really good artists and really good films, they do motivate me to like take a deeper look into the artist's music discography, stuff like
Yeah,
that. So
the Amy
yeah,
Winehouse one was so sad. God, that one was
yeah.
so sad. And I experienced that documentary before her music. And after watching that, I was like, I gotta go listen to what she did as an artist because, of course, in the documentary they're showing live performances and stuff like that. I was like, she's got a great voice, and I'm liking the music, and I love Back to Black. I think that's a just an incredible album. I still haven't
Yeah.
listened to Frank too much. I need to give it a couple more listens, but it kills me what happened to her and how she just got basically chewed alive, chewed up and spit out by the music industry, man. She was just it was awful.
Yeah, the press pretty much, you know. But I find it interesting, like in these documentaries and just movies about famous people, it always seems to be like I don't want to be rude or anything, but it always seems to be like the same thing. They get to a certain point, they fall into drug abuse, alcohol abuse, or something like that because of their past. Like they work really hard to get to a certain point, and then everything is just like they don't have the motivation to maybe continue stuff to do stuff or something like that. And I guess Kid Cudi did hit that point as well. Like he was so determined to succeed, and then when he succeeded, he was like, "Well, what's next?" Right?
Yeah. It does seem to be a lot of attempts to cope as well, like self
Yeah.
medication through alcohol and drugs and all these things. I remember watching, I think there are two documentaries for Lady Gaga, I believe. And I remember watching one or maybe it was just an interview with her, but she was talking about how her life improved dramatically when she started saying no. As in, no, I'm not going to do this. No, I'm not going to participate. No, I'm not going to go to this show. No, I'm not going to do these things that management or whatever was saying. No, you need to do this. You need to do this. And I think that is a huge piece because I really picked up on that in A Man Named Scott because
Uh,
early in the documentary they talk about how they're going to go on this little tour, and then from there it just started going and going and going. And I remember thinking to myself as he was describing this endless touring and then back in the studio and then touring and back in the studio, I was like, this guy needs a break. Like he's not stopping. He's just going and going and going. And I think it's easy to get wrapped up into this idea of, oh my God, I'm gaining traction. Like I'm on an upward trend. I got to pedal to the metal. I got to keep going so that I don't lose this momentum that I have. But I kind of think that's bullshit. Like I feel like that's all built around the music industry and just trying to get as many sales in as possible before somebody collapse. But if they would just let off and let the artists do what they do and have some breathing room, then they wouldn't collapse and they'd have longer careers and eventually they'd probably have more sales overall in the long run. But I don't think the industry cares that much. I think the industry just like
yeah,
get as much money as you can right now and then screw them. We'll find the next one.
yeah. I think the labels are programmed that way because most of the people that are still in position are looking at it as from an old school point of view, where when you're like at your peak, you can just go even higher. Like
Right.
Like they use those buzzwords and they're like, oh, you're at your best right now. You just have to do another album. You just have to tour because if you don't, you're just gonna be forgotten because there's so many different artists like out now. So like you said, the Lady Gaga when she started to say no, I mean that's the right thing that you should do. But there's so many incentives for the artist and there's so many stuff that they just kind of say yes, like because they think they're gonna get more out
Yeah.
of it, like more success and stuff like that. But
Are you,
as you can see, like Cudi got really burned out, and now he's actually doing a new album, but like he's doing it on his own terms. At least that's how it looks.
which is great. I mean, that's how it should be.
Yeah,
Are you familiar with the Smashing Pumpkins? Have you heard of that band before?
I have heard of them, but I haven't really listened to them.
There's a great interview with the lead singer guitarist. His name's Billy Corbin. And he was talking to Joe Rogan, and they're talking about the music industry and becoming famous because at one point in the '90s, Smashing Pumpkins were like the top band. Like they were number one. They put out an album called Melancholy and the Infinite Sadness, and it was just a crusher of an album, like just sales and sales and sales. And the guitarist Billy Corbin, he started talking about how the people around him were telling him to do all these different things and different projects, and you got to do this and you got to do that, and blah, blah, blah. And I don't remember specifically what he said right now, unfortunately, but he essentially said that the way the record labels view the artist is they go, well, on average, a person has about 4 years. They got like a 4 year run where they come in, they do well, and then they drop off. And so it's just a focus of squeezing as much out of them as possible in 4 years, which is awful because and so instead of trying to invest into an artist, instead of trying to help them make right decisions so that they stay healthy and mentally sharp and all these other things, they do the opposite. They just crush them to squeeze as much money out of them as possible and then just move on to the next one. And it's horrible. It's absolutely horrible. I mean, it's not even like it's like mining for resources or something. You just exhaust the resource until it's gone and then you move on to the next one.
Yeah, pretty much. I think it should always be quality over quantity, and that's not the case. I think most of the time it's quantity over quality, and that's why we get bad products. That's why we get burnt out artists, and that's why they fall into these problems that they do. And yeah, that's a real shame, because that's how the industry works. And if you're not, as they call a tough cookie, like then you just crumble. But yeah, I mean, yeah,
It's
it just
it's
sucks.
it's really sad. It's really sad. You've listened to all of Cudi's albums, right?
I think I have listened to pretty much everything. Maybe if there's some stuff that is under the radar that escaped me, but
Yeah.
I think I'll list most of them. Yeah.
Oh, did we? I forgot because we've kind of gotten cut off a couple times. But on Day and Night, you said what was it? Did we cover specifically why Day and Night connected with you so well? I know you said the sounds, but was there more to it? I mean, in terms of the content, I don't think you really talked about like the lyrics. And I remember you saying how you were hearing it and like that was a big turn for you. I mean, was there something more specific about that track that stuck with you?
Oh no, like the first time it was all melody, it was all beat music and stuff like that. But then at a later date, now, like I said, 5 to 4 years ago, when I started to listening to the lyrics, like the Lonely Stoner stuff,
Yeah.
I gotta say that did connect to me, yeah, of course. And I was like, oh damn, this song is so deep. Like as in. I had no clue what I was listening to before, like the first time I heard it. But now it's like a whole new world for me, at least, because I had no context beforehand. And now I'm like, hey, he's singing about me, like, so yeah, like I said, at a later point in my life, I definitely could connect the lyrics and just uh, give that extra nudge to the song, like to like how do you say it? I don't know, like the complete package practically, right?
Sure.
Because the first time I just heard the melody, the beat, and stuff like that, and then at a later date I just connected all the pieces, and yeah.
Yeah. And then when the pandemic came in, you said you went back to Man on the Moon again. I mean, how was that experience? You know, because this was recent. I mean, in some ways we're still there. I know lockdowns have kind of gone away and stuff like that, but how did Man on the Moon help you through that?
Yeah, definitely. Like at one point, I was I was working a lot, day and night, no pun intended. And
Interesting.
then, yeah, I was working at 24/7, and then I was just and then the Corona hit and everything closed, and like my job was depending that I have to be there physically.
Yeah.
And well, I was still doing college at that time, and then just everything just fell into college. I wasn't here in Maribor. I was hometown Ormož, where I was surrounded by people. Everything was loud. I wasn't alone. I didn't have my alone time. You know, like I wasn't calm. I was on the edge, nervous every single step. And then just music pretty much helped me at that point. I was like man on the moon because again I could go back to the lyrics and just connect with them on a deeper level, and it would calm me down. It would be my study music. It would just bring everything together, and that's how pretty much in Corona, when I was on doing college, Man on the Moon was my go-to album. Like I started listening to it, and yeah,
Yeah, it is
and then and
nice. Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
uh, I'm sorry, yeah, I just wanted to add, and then at December 2020, if I'm not mistaken, the Man on the Moon 3 came out, and that was on repeat. So yeah.
And I've heard, I haven't listened to that one yet, but I heard that one was really well received. Like everyone seems to like that one.
Yeah.
You know, it is great. You mentioned alone time and being around a lot of people and stuff like that. Like I personally love having my alone time. It's a very key part to my sanity.
Yeah.
And it gets rough. Like when, yeah, like you're saying, you went back home and there's a lot of people around and you, like when you can't get away, I personally have a hard time with it. It sounds like you have a hard time with it. But there is something nice about music and just putting on some headphones and turning it up so it just pushes everybody out and you can kind of create your own personal space that way.
Yeah, definitely. Like I'm more of an introvert than an extrovert. Like I like to go to a great party, but I definitely love my alone time, and so that's how most of my music pretty much goes. I like sit down, maybe calm myself, maybe roll one, you know, uh, and at that point, like yeah, just chill, calm.
Do you ever go to a party where like maybe I don't know, like their friends of friends or something. Like you go to a party, there's people there, and it's kind of fun, but you're really not that into it. But there's music on, and then the music comes on. You're like, oh, I really like this song, but then start getting irritated because you can't hear the song over the party when you don't really want to be at the party anyway. And you realize, fuck, I'd rather just be at home listening to this song than here at this party. Have you ever had that experience?
Oh yes, multiple times. I had that experience. I was just like, why am I even here?
Yeah.
I should go home. Like I'm not in the mood for this. But then I guess you could say, I mean, I'm not condoning these actions, but I guess alcohol helps, and it's like,
Yeah,
hey,
right.
you should stay here and have fun, you know, right?
Yeah.
Because running without shoes is like you can run, but running without shoes, and you can have fun without alcohol, but with alcohol it's better.
I certainly care less about if I'm annoyed by things or not. And so, yeah, some of the things,
Yeah,
if when I'm sober, some of the things that would maybe bother me, they just stop bothering me. That's really what happens for me.
yeah. Same for me. And like most of the time, I do like people give me the chance to give music on because I do it for the target audience that is at the party. I don't just randomly put Earl sweatshirt on or Playboy
Sure.
Carti.
Yeah.
Uh, but I'm like, oh, let's see what people listen to, and then if someone says I want to listen to that, I want to listen to that. But I sneak in a favorite of mine from time to time. I'm like, everyone quiet now.
Yeah, you're right. Or you go over and
Everyone,
turn up the volume a little bit without them noticing, so it's a little louder. Yeah,
I'm like, yeah, please, can we have a nice normal conversation now, no shouting? So,
yeah. I had an experience once, and I feel like I can tell you this because you'll get it. Where I've never really told anybody this because I feel like I'll feel crazy for saying it. Like if someone will look at me like, "What are you talking about?" But it was a party that I was at, and it wasn't a huge party, but there was some people around. And usually, people are talking and laughing and whatever. And we were outside and we were sitting by a fire. And one of my favorite bands is Tool. And my favorite song of all time ever is from them. It's a song called Invincible. It's a very long song. It's like 11, 12 minutes long. And it came on and I was like, oh, here's my favorite song, and I'm not going to get to listen to it because we're at a party. But for the majority of the people, and I think it helped that we had a campfire going because a lot of people were just sitting looking at the fire and talking. When the song came on, there were some other people there who were also fans of the song. They knew the song. Everybody stopped talking. And I shit you not, it was the most incredible thing to me because basically for 12 minutes while that song was playing, everybody just stopped and listened to the song. And in my entire life, I don't think I've had an experience where people at a party literally stopped partying to just sit and listen to the song. It was incredible.
damn, that like I never had that experience. Like for sure.
It was like living a dream,
Yeah.
It was so surreal. And I don't say that to try and promote the song, but just that experience. I've never had that before, and I fully do not expect to have it happen again. But I just want to, I guess, put it out there, maybe tease people with the idea that it can happen. You can be at a party and hear your favorite song come on and watch other people stop and listen and enjoy that song with you. It's a trippy experience. I mean, I know it's not really relevant to what we're talking about, but I just had to share it because I feel like nobody else would enjoy it.
Yeah. No, definitely. I think that's really interesting. Like I would be going insane if that was to happen to me. Like if everyone would stop and listen to my favorite song. But I like no. Everyone's partying here in Slovenia.
Yeah. Well, and
And it's like,
so often it seems like when, say you're at a party, because talking about music at a party is pretty common, and you'll start talking about this and that, and every now and then someone's like, "Oh yeah, here you got to hear this song, you got to check out this song," which
no.
all to me already sucks because now I'm like, "Oh great, now I have to sit here and stare at this person's phone for 5 minutes and listen to shitty audio and pretend to like the song that they like, even though I can't hear half of it." But even if you get that situation where you can hear it and somebody maybe can enjoy it, 2 minutes in, somebody comes over, like it always gets interrupted. That experience is always interrupted. And so I don't know. It was wild to see that happen. And the idea of being able to enjoy music with other people present in a party scene and it actually be almost like an active listening experience was just mind blowing to me. It was absolutely mind blowing.
Definitely. Definitely. Like I said, I don't think I'll ever experience everyone stop for a
Well,
song.
it's possible. It's possible. So you keep trying. Just keep slipping those gems into the playlist, and maybe one
Oh
day.
yeah, for sure. For sure.
Oh man, what would be some gems that you would try and slip in from Man on the Moon for other people, especially like let's say you're making a playlist, right? You're going to a party, and let's just say for the sake of argument, other people there they're not familiar with this music. So what would be some of the ones you'd try and slip in to get them to enjoy Kid Cudi and Man on the Moon?
I always, in every playlist of mine, I slip in Intergalactic.
Oh yeah,
For sure.
yeah.
Because like I think it's a hype music. I think like a lot of people say it's like the people that don't listen to Kid Cudi, I've heard from someone like say, yeah, maybe it's hype to you, but it's not hype for me. I was like, damn, okay. Opinion accepted but rejected.
Yeah, right.
But yeah, like other than Intergalactic, of course, Makers Say, I think everyone loves that one. If we ignore Day and Night and Pursuit of Happiness, we have to ignore Pursuit of Happiness because I like the mix is everywhere.
Is
Um,
is it substantially different, the remix?
it's just EDM,
Oh, okay. Okay.
it's EDM. So it's like, no, just thinking about it, I don't want to even think about it.
Yeah.
Uh, and I love electronic music, but this one just, I've heard it too many times, you know, when you hear the same song too many times, it's just horrible. But yeah,
Yeah.
other than that, Cody's Zone, I really like. I think Cody's Zone is one that would definitely make the playlist. I think it's happy. The Sky Might Fall, I think is pretty good. Uh, that would go maybe in a party setting. And then, off the top of my mind, uh,
That's almost half the album already.
yeah,
Which
like
is
I said,
great.
if we ignore that, the two most popular ones, yeah, but I guess those are my top four that I would slip in because there is a couple of songs that are just mood killers for the party. So yeah,
Yeah.
I would,
Which is a bummer because Solo Dolo is still my favorite one. I love that track.
yeah, yeah.
I think that
But
one's
like
so good.
the gritty beat is amazing. Yeah,
Yeah. I really like that one a lot. And then off of the second one, these worries, that one's great. Mr. Rager was another great one, and those two are right back to back. It's like I love that section right there, really good.
yeah. Erase Me and Mr. Rager are obviously the favorites on the Man of the Moon 2 for me.
Yeah,
It's
Erase was
amazing.
good.
Yeah.
Well, we're about an hour in, kind of a choppy hour, unfortunately for you. Is there anything else that you want to touch on? I mean, we've kind of been bouncing around a little bit. Is there anything specific that you wanted to say?
Oh,
Anything,
no.
man, anything. It doesn't even have
Go
to be Man on the Moon.
going completely blank right now. No, no, no.
All right, fair enough. Fair enough.
Uh,
Let's see. Oh, I'll ask you this then. I'll ask you this. Unfortunately, we'll drag some Kanye drama into this. We'll wrap it up on this.
sure,
Well,
we can.
I don't know how. I'm sure you're somewhat aware of all the Kanye stuff going on and him and Cudi kind of falling out again. Apparently, this has happened before in the past. I don't know anything about what happened prior, but what are your thoughts on that with everything that's going on with him and Kanye right now?
Yeah, I saw everything. I even just watched the first part of his trilogy on Netflix, the
Oh
documentary,
yeah,
which I thought was amazing. But yeah, like the drama part, it's just Kanye being Kanye at this point. He's having drama with people because mostly because they either really didn't support him being with Trump or just because he's randomly beefing with them. But yeah, this one specifically with Cudi, I have no idea why he targeted him just because he's hanging out with Pete Davidson or whatever the case was there. I just think it's really high school, middle school, primary school trauma. It's like they're grown people, grown
yeah,
as people that shouldn't be having drama like that. Like they have been on the same label for how long? They've done so many amazing things together. They shouldn't be like saying, "Hey, I was the best part on this album." Blah blah blah. It's just like you're both amazing, great artists. Keep it at that. Be friends. Be good to each other. Like it doesn't matter who he hangs out. Like it's his separate thing. Like I don't know.
yeah.
I thought it was dumb.
It almost seems like it's very surreal to me. It almost felt like, specifically between the two of them over this last week or so, it almost felt like something out of, I don't know how familiar you are with like the wrestling that we have in America, like the WWE and the WWF.
Yeah, I
It's
was a
all,
huge fan.
yeah, it's all just performative. It almost seems like an act. I mean, I don't think that it is. I don't believe that it is, but it seems that way because it seems so strange. Like like it feels like it could only come from a script because just normal people wouldn't do that. You know, it's like it's almost unbelievable.
Yeah, yeah, that's like the conversation with me and my like a couple of my friends was like, please stop. Like, well, what are you doing? Like, just like what? Like at this point, it's like insane. What are you doing? Like, someone should call him up and be like, bro, like I know your intentions are best, but you should like pipe it down. But I guess that's maybe as well as Kanye ego problem that I don't know. Like I can't really say specifically, but. I'm just imagining that he's in his like he is in his world, and no one can touch him when he's like that. I don't know.
Yeah, there have been some conspiracy theories floating around in Discord about, people thinking, well, maybe this is just an attempt to do promotion for
Oh
for
yeah, yeah, yeah.
for
Like
the
I was thinking the same. Like great timing for like, but
but
I don't know.
him and Cudi getting into it. I was like, well, I'd only be okay with this as a promotional thing if it turns out that they're going to make another album together and they've been working on it in secret and nobody knows, and then, oh, we made up, oh, and by the way, here's a new album. Like, that would be fine. I don't think that's going to
Agreed.
happen, but we'll see. We'll see.
Yeah, hopefully he like Kanye is on a feature on the new Cudi album when it comes out, but I don't know. Hopefully they squash the beef because it seems nonsense.
Yeah, it does seem nonsense. I honestly don't. Yeah, I just don't get it. And maybe that's the thing. Maybe, people like you and I, we just can't get it because we don't exist in that kind of world. And but then I think
Yeah.
about, oh, go ahead, go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, no, I was just agreeing.
Oh, okay. Then I think about, people like Kendrick, who's basically just disappeared, you know, or people like J. Cole, who are super low key, don't pop up on the radar very often. They're just off living their lives. And when I see I mean, these are big names, big artists. And so I go, okay, it's definitely doable. It doesn't ruin your career. People don't forget about you. You can make great music, be a big artist, and then just go under the radar on social media and go live your life if you want to. Like, that is an option. It does work. It can happen. But I don't know. So much of our lives are online nowadays, and I don't know. I don't know. It's just
Yeah.
strange.
I guess Kanye's plan was to trend more than Super Bowl, and he got that. He got to that point, and that was great.
He must
And
operate.
then because he stopped, like he was, oh, I'm trending over Super Bowl, and then later on he was like, oh, okay, there's something wrong if I'm trending over Super Bowl, you know?
You know, that's
I,
That's an interesting idea. What if he was upset about a bunch of hip hop artists being in the Super Bowl and him not being one of those artists? I have no
no,
idea.
he was at Super Bowl.
Well, he was there, but he wasn't performing.
Oh,
You know?
oh,
I wonder.
yeah,
I have no idea. I mean, this is just a wild ass guess. I have no idea. I'm not even trying to imply that that's how he was feeling, but that would be funny if this was all because somebody else was performing at the Super Bowl instead of him.
yeah. No, I don't think that's the thing, but yeah, like I thought it was really funny because the Super Bowl is so huge, and he was like, hey, I'm trending over it. And I was like, damn, that's a reality check. Why are you trending over the Super Bowl? Like,
Yeah. Yeah, that wouldn't
I
really
don't
be
know.
my goal, is to have my personal problems being more public than the Super Bowl.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. Like, oof.
Oh my God, man. Oh, that's funny. All right. Well, if you've got anything else, by all means. But if not, I guess we'll wrap it up here, huh?
Yeah, sure, we can wrap it up. Maybe just say that if anyone wants to see my playlists or music taste, he can check out my Spotify,
Oh yeah. You know what?
I guess.
What I'll do is are you okay with my putting your like profile in the description section? Are you okay with that?
Oh yeah, sure. If you're okay with it,
Yeah,
like
that's
I
fine.
don't mind at all.
Yeah,
Like, yeah.
I'll throw your profile in the description because for those of you who don't know, I don't think we actually covered it well, for the recording portion. But Nate's is you're like the top 1% or something of Cuddy listeners.
Yeah, in Slovenia.
Oh, and
I
so
mean, I was no, no, I think overall as well, because yeah, I listened to a lot of Cudi that year. So yeah, overall as well. But yeah, I had like 88,000 minutes overall, but not just Cudi, overall, but that was a large portion of that was Cudi. And yeah, I mean, I don't know, like if anyone wants to see my playlists or stuff like that, or stuff I listen to, they can follow me there.
Yeah.
I don't have any other social media I want to shout out. So
Sure.
yeah, that's pretty much it.
How many playlists do you have on your profile?
I have like a personal one, which is in Slovene, and it says, "I love good music and you." And then I have another one which is 90s boom bap rap and gangster rap. I have one with JPEG Mafia. I have one that's like only chill hip hop, and I have like a Hall of Fame one, which is my 20 of my favorite songs of all time. And I think that's pretty. Oh, I have a techno one, but
Oh,
I
okay.
don't think that that one is connected yet.
Yeah, well, that's cool. So you got a couple playlists people can check out then. That's cool.
Yeah, sure.
Right on. All right. Well, I guess that concludes episode 9 of Conversations with the Community. Nate's, that's about as well as I can say it.
It's good. It's good.
It was great talking to you, man. I had a good time. That was fun. And to
Same.
everybody watching, we'll see you next week.